All right, welcome back. Episode 2. We didn't get cancelled after the first one. Jesse, what is on your mind?
Welcome to the NERO Show. I just came up with that name last week, and you used it in the title.
I did.
So are we just running with it?
We're running with it now.
I think we are.
We're running with it now. People asked me the other day, they're like, so what's NERO doing next? I'm like, well, it's two guys talking about crap in bikes. So, yeah, anyway. All right, what's playing on your mind, mate?
It's the Shimano power meter. It is... How are we still here with it? So this popped up twice this week. Shane Miller did his usual review of it. So for those of you who don't know, this is the updated power meter as part of the new Shimano 12-speed group set, Dura Ace, most expensive group set, top of the line, blah, blah, blah.
$2,500 here in Australia, I reckon.
Just for the power meter. Wow. Okay. So super expensive. Comes out, he tests it. It's got the same issues which they've had for years since they released it. The right side reads low, and actually the new issue is that the zero offset drifts as you ride. So if you want it to be accurate, or if you want half of the accuracy issues to go away, you basically have to stop on your ride, get off your bike, do the manual calibration through your head unit. So it's not a good power meter, basically. But the thing that kind of struck me was the Canyon released their new Canyon Ultimate, and you're going through it. The top level bikes with Shimano come with the power meter. So when you buy a new Canyon, you're paying for that power meter, which is, if you're someone who's into accurate data, that's not useful. If I bought a new Canyon, I'd be taking that off. I would not run it.
I don't think anyone cares. Honestly. And like, okay, so yes, I have this new power meter. Yes, it reads low. Yes, it's frustrating. And in a perfect... No, I'm kind of going the wrong route with this. The reason I'm saying nobody cares is it's well known. Anyone really who is buying a new power meter, a new Shimano power meter, at this point's probably done enough research. They're going to spend $2,500 on it to know that it's reading low. I don't think anyone cares. You brought up Canyon, right? Like, Canyon were having all those issues with their bikes. They were still flying off shelves. Yeah. Like, to me, I don't is it the marketing of it? Is it, I don't understand, but people don't seem to mind.
I think it is I think it is the marketing. Part of it is the marketing of it. So actually it was on YouTube, Charlie Carbs and Cycling did a review of the Canyon, and he pointed out a few things. So that Canyon comes with the Shimano power meter, which doesn't work properly. They've also stocked it with time trial tires, which he pointed out, which is very interesting because you got this no one rides time trial tires. They get flat within your third ride. So, but if you're going and watching a review of the Canyon, they're not going to point out that it comes with an inaccurate power meter. And I think that's a massive deal. It's basically another purchase you have to make on your bike. I think it's just a joke. I mean, how is Shimano allowed to release a product that says it's 1 or 1.5% accurate, and it's not?
Well, look, from my own personal experience, and I haven't DC Rainmakered it or Shane Millered it, but you've seen me in the park doing this. I will do an effort, and then I will pull over and I will recalibrate. Like, I'm doing this 3 or 4 times a ride. So it's they're probably able to claim that it is within this tolerance because of the fact that it is accurate for a period of time after you calibrate.
They've got us in a technicality.
Pretty much. I mean, and I don't understand why this I can't remember who brought this up. This is not my idea. I'm not claiming this one. But I don't understand why power meters can't talk to head units and in that respect be able to, you get some sort of notification on your head unit that your power meter has gone out of calibration. Do you know what I mean? So that's clearly what's happening here. I don't understand why instead of the 50-50, your head unit doesn't, because it's receiving this data, why your head unit can't then inform you that you're now receiving incorrect data, and you therefore are informed, okay, do a recalibration. Do you know what I mean?
I get what you mean. Technically, I'm not sure if it'd be possible because the power meter would have to be auto zeroing to know that it goes out of that the zero offset's drifted. Yeah. So does the Shimano one not do auto calibration. I mean, even like the crappest ones direct from China, well, not crappest, the cheapest ones direct from China, they have auto zeros, automatic temperature compensations. And it's bizarre.
But like you said that everyone knows that this stuff doesn't work, right? I think.
Everyone, if you want to know a power meter, you watch Shane Miller's video. He says it doesn't work. It's in the title.
I'd argue that seemingly no one cares, but taking that the next step is no one cares really about the content of a review. You know, I've come to the conclusion now that like looking at a lot of bike reviews and stuff like that you've either got guys who basically just read out specs, fine, that's fine, with nice pretty pictures of your bike. They ride it down a nice country lane in England telling us what they think of it. Like, it's irrelevant.
That should be a first look, not a review.
Yeah, but even if said YouTuber then slates it, I don't think anyone cares. Like, I really don't. Like,
but it doesn't seem to affect sales. So, sort of similar to this, the new Cervelo Soloist got re-released today. Cycling Weekly or Bike Radar did a video review, if you want to call it, on it. And one of the 2 minutes into the video, into like a 10-minute video, one of the biggest things they were saying how good it was that it doesn't have integrated handlebar stem, so the cables are easy to manage. And if you travel, it's not a headache because you can just take the bar stem off and you don't need to re-bleed your brakes. And they were going on about it like this was the greatest thing ever. But in their review of the Cervelo S5, which doesn't have that, if it does happen to get a mention that it's an absolute headache to travel with, if you have to take the bar stem off, maybe it's a footnote at the end of the video if it gets a mention at all. But so it's like, it's you can't have it both ways. Is an integrated thing good or bad? If it's bad, it should be mentioned as a downside in what should be if it is an actual review.
I totally hear what you're saying, and it comes. I think we've talked about this before. That like, I think a lot of reviews, they miss the point to start with. Like, okay, take my own personal experience. Like, what I've tried to do in a review is give my experience of riding a bike, but I don't necessarily think that's relevant to anyone. Like, really, if you boil it down to, okay, what it might feel like for me to sprint on a bike is nothing like what it's going to feel like for you to sprint on a bike. And I honestly have come just stepping away from all that review stuff thinking, well, really, it's just pretty pictures of bikes. Like, at the end of the day, because you read a comment thread underneath a review and you're going to have just as many people say, oh, that bike's too heavy. Oh, wow, that bike's really light. Oh, that bike's aero. Oh, that bike's not aero. Who cares at this point? Pretty pictures of bikes. That's why I think first look videos they're cool, because instead of seeing the bike in a press release magazine image, you now see the bike in being ridden by English country lane rider, and you can kind of then go, oh, look, it is real. Here it is being ridden down the road. It's sort of irrelevant what he's saying.
It shouldn't be though. But it shouldn't. Yeah. If something's wrong if the bike has an issue, it shouldn't just be. I mean, how can you overlook? I mean, what's the point of having reviews if it doesn't move anything? And maybe because the downsides don't get mentioned enough, so they kind of just get washed to the side, and people don't generally. Because I mean, we're quite into stuff. You know, Ryder probably isn't looking things in as much detail as we are. So yeah, it's an issue. Like,
yeah, but like, a YouTube reviewer is not going to slate something from Trek. Like, I'll be totally honest with you. Like, if Trek send me a bike to review, I am going to be biased. Like, 100%, right? So I've got the opportunity to ride a Factor at the moment. Okay? Now, I'm probably not going to try and review it because, like, in the back of my head will be some sort of thing saying, well, you can't say that, Chris. Like, it's there. It's real. Like, no one is big enough on YouTube, except GCN, which we will talk about, to actually be in a position to, like, do that, in my opinion. And that's why I think you really just have to take everything with a grain of salt, or just view it, and I've said this in the past, or just view it as bike porn. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that either.
I mean, I think you're right. But it's a shame because you don't get a way to look at bikes objectively. I mean, there's some guys doing it, like Hambini and stuff, who, maybe he goes a bit too far and calling out a speck of resin on the inside of a tube or something. But, at least he's doing a bit of balance to it all. But yeah, anyway, I think, it's an issue.
All right, guys, let us know your thoughts. I can't even remember what your thoughts are. No, do reviews matter? Is the Shimano power meter crap? All that kind of stuff. Or are we just all playing along? Next up, a subject that this channel has quite a history with, the Zwift Academy. JC?
What started? 2020, what year are we in? 2022. It's still 2020. It started last weekend, pretty sure. Zwift Academy for 2022. And I just wanted to give it a shout out because, and just overall, I thought it was interesting to chat about because I was thinking about it. I hate riding the trainer. My trainer sits in a back room gathering dust. I hate it. But I think Zwift Academy is incredible. Not obviously as a way, because Jay's gone pro and we've seen what he's gone for the pro side of things, but that's not really why I think it's so good. I think Zwift is the best global cycling event as a whole for that people can get involved in. Okay. I can't think of anything else. So for those that haven't done Zwift Academy, basically it's a month long, and anyone that has a Zwift membership can join it. You do a testing ride at the start where you test your fitness, you go through it and you do 6 workouts and you test yourself at the end. But the cool thing is everyone is doing the same workouts on the same weeks. So it builds this, as cringe as it feels to say, it really builds a community because everyone is doing the same workouts. There's lots of stuff to chat about. Like the Facebook groups are really active for Zwift Academy. And I can't think of anything that comes close to that global level of...
And what's the chat? Like, is it quite positive? Is it sort of, how to
Very positive.
Yeah.
How the workout went. Oh, this was a super hard workout. Did I finish it? And then, but at the same time, the people that do Zwift Academy, because they're already involved in it, are then following the progress of the guys that go to the Zwift Academy finals who are fighting for the pro contract. So they're kind of watching almost their sort of idols do crazy power outputs in these workouts, then go into finals. And then Zwift produced this reality TV quality level show for the finals. And then one of them, who they've been following for months, gets picked to go pro, and you're following their entire career. Like Jay's has this cult following of Zwifters, all because of Zwift Academy. And I think Zwift receives a lot of credit for what it does with sending the person pro, but I don't think they get enough credit for how good the actual month of Zwift Academy is. And if there was other events that came close to that.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like everything that the racing bike world isn't. Do you know what I mean? Like the racing bike world just becomes this secret, exclusive. And I'm not talking about pro level bike racing. I'm just talking even sort of. Sometimes it can be club racing, can be really sort of exclusive and a bit toxic and all that kind of stuff. Whereas this thing sounds hard, fun, and everyone then sort of shakes each other's hand and chats about it afterwards. And yeah, there's no residual aspect to it. So yeah, no, well, it's
And as a coach, every year there's a few riders that don't ride the trainer. They often go, I really want to do Zwift Academy. I'm like, cool, I'll schedule it in and do the workouts, and yeah, it's really.
And from a coach's perspective, then is that something that you'll tailor a program to actually go and do?
Oh yeah. So
I know you were
especially
talking
for people that want to do well in it, like I did it for Cooper last year. He wanted to go to finals, so you can't just go and do the workouts and expect to do well. There has to be a plan for the month. So I scheduled out every ride, gym set, everything he needed to do for that entire month, with the plan that he would then go on to finals. If you go into finals, actually, it's a month of the Zwift Academy. The finals is 1 or 2 months after. So you really got to hold form for this 3 or really 4 month period. So yeah, I did that for him, and I do that for all the athletes I coach.
Because when you say the workouts, I kind of think of like, oh, so you jump on and you do these like training sessions, and then that prepares you for the thing. But it's not that, is it? The workouts are essentially the selection criteria.
Pretty much. I mean, the workouts do get you fit because they're very difficult, but they're also, they're almost like a race, because you are, especially if you're trying to go to finals, you're getting judged on your outputs from those workouts. So yeah, it's important to be in good form for them. So it's important to do. And
awesome.
A lot of fun, yeah.
All right, guys, let us know your thoughts. Zwift Academy, is it the best example of cycling in the cycling community?
Why do you think GCN is not good for modern day cycling at the moment?
Because it's like watching Play School, Jesse, right? So let's do a case study of two people searching for things, two people who are kind of keen on getting into a hobby, some sort of new hobby, all right? And one of them searches for cycling content on YouTube. The other person searches for fitness, gym content on YouTube. The gym person will get these highly produced, funny, various types of content. A lot of it's really informative. Some of it's incredibly high produced. Some of it's hilarious. Like, it's really good, and it's essentially really cool. Like, everyone looks cool. No one's pretending to like be playing each other down. Everyone is just cool, right? It's made for 16-year-olds, exactly. And you're like, shit, I want to get into that. That looks like, that's a world I can get into. Case study 2 goes and searches for cycling content. And if you do search for cycling content on YouTube, the first dozen hits will be GCN, all right? Now, the videos are just slot produced. I'm sorry, given the budget that they have, it's slot produced stuff, and it's all these like self-deprecating crap jokes, or kind of guys slopping about with a little sort of smile on their face. None of it's cool. Not one GCN video you look at and go, shit, that is a cool sport. I really want to get into that, you know? Yes, there is cool content on YouTube, well, all over the internet on cycling, but it's not being produced by those guys. Now, I want to specify that's very different to GCN Race Pass, like the whole, like that stuff, the access we've now got to pro level racing, brilliant, no issues with that. It's just the channel. I'm sorry, the channel is just so shit. It really is. Yeah. Like, you gave the example of the 16-year-old kid. Like, I'm sorry, there's not one like sane 16-year-old who views a GCN video and goes, wow, that's a cool sport. Like, I don't know. Like,
I would never click on a GCN video anymore, but I did.
Yeah.
Back when it was Matt Stevens and Dan Lloyd, it was, and Simon Thingo, it was pretty cool. Like, it was all sort of authentic, and at least it was sort of, it was never cool, but it was sort of entertaining at least. And now when you said what you said at the start, you click on one now, it's like you're watching adults play with kids' toys. It's
the GCN Show. In today's episode, we will talk about things that are really, really, Shimano 105, no rim brakes. Ooh. It's just like, are you kidding me? Like, and it used to be cool. You're dead right. Like, there were those videos that they did with the guy doing like the sick bike tricks and stuff. Remember that stuff where the guy on the road bike was like flipping around? And now you're like, how many apples can I eat in a day? Or like, I don't know. And look, I know they have a really, really cult following, and I'll get smashed for it, but like, honestly, like, that following are already in cycling. I just don't think they need all this footage about a steel bike racing up a hill versus a new Orbea bike. I just think it's done, you know? Or do it, yeah.
Or if you're going to do it like it would do if it was a fitness video. Like, at least make it anyway, at least make it entertaining. I think it's. I think it deserves to have some stones thrown. Basically, like I think we're allowed to say this is hilariously, like childish. Almost, but it's like it. It kind of feels like the videos are made for a 7-year-old or a 12-year-old, and they're missing. Not they're missing because they can do whatever the hell they want, but it's not appealing really to anyone. No. I don't think in the middle.
I come back to this thing of like the production. They have staff. Like it's not like the presenters edit the videos. There are staff in there. There are professional film crews, professional editors doing stuff. I mean, I then kind of think at like this channel. Like every single thing on this channel has always been edited by me. Absolutely edited by me. Now, obviously, I try and steal content off people who'll send it to me when they do. And that's all good. But most of the time, it's everything shot in here or by me and that kind of thing. So I have a question for you, because I know that this is the case. Not every cycling vlogger edits their own content. To you as a content consumer, does that bother you? Does that impact you? Do you think someone should say when it's not edited by them?
It doesn't bother me in the slightest. I actually think it's good. So the only person I know that has said that they don't edit their own videos is Alex Dowsett. Is there any others that you were thinking of? Yeah. Okay, right. Yeah, Froome wouldn't be sitting there on Final Cut, would he? I think I don't mind at all. I mean, the channels, good fitness channels, you think those blokes are editing their videos? That could barely write a script. So then I don't have a problem with it at all. I think it's good. If it creates better videos and it gets more interesting people making videos, I'm 100% all for it. I think maybe you disagree, but I think it's really...
I'm kind of torn with it because, like, for me, the story is in the edit. I mean, there's no story to this edit, obviously, but, like, if you are doing a vlog, like, I can totally transform what a video will be, or that's, like, the skill of the video is to actually... like put that together and generate a story from it, like the race vlogs and stuff that we've done here on the channel in the past. Like that's, to me, the skill of it. Anyone can just point a camera and talk at it. So, there's that element. But yeah, I don't want to contradict myself, because you're dead right that if you're not a very good editor, then like I totally understand, why not get someone else in to do a better job?
I mean, I know we keep coming back to the fitness channels, but that's because they are so good. I mean, a lot of them, they don't even film it. Yeah. I mean, at least Alex Dowsett films his stuff. The fitness channels, they're the personality. They have someone filming, and then they'll have an editing team that do it, and they're just this entertaining personality.
I did this deep, when I started thinking about doing this GCN rant, I went on all these other, like, my YouTube algorithm's totally stuffed now, because I was searching fishing content, sailing content. I'm trying to think of all these kind of hobby type stuff, obviously hiking, this kind of stuff, and like fishing content. I'm like, oh, and trains. I was watching train content, and I'm like, this is better. This is genuinely better and more interesting than the cycling stuff. So, and that was clearly stuff that's not, a one-man band and the plane guy. Oh, how good's he? That's Sam Choi. Oh man, I'm a subscriber now. Like, totally into that. So anyway,
that's very niche. That's very rabbit hole. YouTube. People watching this wouldn't be like, oh yeah, Sam Choi.
Anyway, all right. Summing up, has Chris lost the plot? Is GCN bad for cycling? That's clearly the thumbnail, right? That's got to be the thumbnail. All right, I'm taking a step back from ranting for a bit.
Cool him down.
I'm going to cool down. What do you got for me?
Mine is about doping. This is genuine. We're not just doing this so we can just put doping in the title of the video. So I'm not going to say how, but on my Instagram account, I got some interaction. I don't say how because people will probably be able to find it, from an account of a cyclist in America who firstly is clearly on steroids or some performance enhancing product, because the guy is built like a bodybuilder, which is, looked at it, I was okay, fine, do whatever you want. Then went on to looked a bit further in his account and firstly, in his bio is a link to a site selling SARMs, peptides, basically a range of research products used to build muscle, enhance performance, which aren't illegal to buy and to have, like in terms of the law, but are banned substances. They're banned. You can't take them. So they're doping products, but they're not illegal to sell. So it's this sort of grey area where people are selling them and buying them, but they're illegal to take. And then I go through his photos, and he races this person. Oh, he's on podium shots from crits, legitimate sort of crits.
Can I ask what's his age profile? In fact, can I guess what his age profile is?
You can have a guess.
43-year-old?
I would say late 30s, early. Yeah, it's kind of hard when you take drugs can age you a bit, so maybe you look a bit older. But I still don't understand how this is possible. How is a person who's clearly taking performance-enhancing drugs and their business is selling them allowed to race what I can only assume is a sanctioned criterium somewhere in the US, and they're not, and posting podium photos, and they're not getting tested. I still don't understand how that's possible, because they would have a USAC license.
Yes. So was he reaching out to you as a prospective client?
Wasn't reaching out. I think they didn't communicate with me. I think they liked a reel or something. Right. And I was like, oh, who's this person? And then it was like, they weren't getting in contact in any regard. I just find it kind of blew my mind. I'm thinking, here's this person who's clearly taking performance-enhancing drugs against USAC and is still racing. And the other people that he's on the podium with are also his size. So I'm thinking, like, what Wild West racing league? Maybe it's not a sanction. Maybe it's not. For you in America, maybe you'll know. Maybe it's not. Any race you do in Australia, at least, is under Oz Cycling. Sure. And you can't be just doping. No. I mean, you can, maybe you could get away with it, but you can't be taking the piss. You couldn't rock up to Heffron race and then be selling drugs in your Instagram. So I don't know what's going on in the US, but I had to say something because I still don't understand how what's going on.
Yeah, I would imagine that must be an unsanctioned event or something, because you do sort of feel like if someone's going to be as overtly like putting it out there as that, though it does bring up an interesting question. Like, as a coach, have you if has there ever been red flags to you as a coach where you've had to go, oh, hang on, maybe something sort of questionable is going on here? Or are you is that something that ever crops into your brain?
To people that I coach, or just in general?
Well, to people you coach.
Oh, no, never. And I would say if I thought there was. It's just generally, I don't think the sort of people that would approach me to be coached to improve their cycling would sort of be the people I think would be doping. There was nothing obvious. I mean, maybe, but
yeah. You've never had anyone sort of say, look, I've hit a brick wall here, JC.
I want the top level.
Can you give me the platinum?
No, I haven't. Right. No.
Yeah, fair enough. Guys in the US, let us know maybe, is there some unsanctioned racing going on that it's like all bets are off? Or does just no one care anymore? Like, essentially, maybe that's what it boils down to. No one cares anymore and stuff's rife. Who knows? All right, let us know. All right, so I got a question for you, JC. Been doing quite a bit of sort of short, sharp stuff in the last 3 or 4 months, really. And yeah, seeing some good gains from it. It's been really good. But I'm finding that the afternoon after doing the session, or even the day after the session, just absolutely kills me. And not necessarily just on the bike, just in life. I am really, really zapped. And so what I was asking you was about the fueling of those sessions. So this is a session that might potentially be an hour and a half max. It's probably 4, 5, 6 short efforts. So maybe like 20 minutes of work, maybe that kind of thing. Is there a way I can fuel this better to not be as dead?
So, so hour and a half efforts, so it's probably about 100 TSS, probably 90 to 100. So there's not that much you can do really fueling wise. Assuming you're not doing it fasted or doing anything silly. If you're having a decent meal beforehand, you're consuming, I've seen you on the bike, I know you drink, you have some sort of mix in your bottles during it. I've seen you with a couple of lollies in the back pocket. And assuming you then go home and eat, you're probably fine, because even though it's super intense, you're not actually burning that many calories, and you're not going to be fuel-wise in an hour and a half session just with some efforts. You're not really going to, it's not long enough to be depleting yourself. So I'm obviously very big on fueling, potentially even over fueling in general, but for such short sessions, you can't eat your way out of the soreness that you might get from it. I think, especially when you're doing like a lot of intensity, anything VO2 max or above, 2-minute efforts, 3-minute efforts, 1-minute efforts, it's normal to be sore the next day. So that is just part of it. And I think you're not going to make up for that by having 150 grams of carbs throughout the session.
Because my only thing that I know I don't do is because the sessions are the efforts are quite short and the rest between them are quite short. So let's say, for example, they're 3 or 4 minute efforts with only 3 or 4 minutes in between, right? You're not really wanting to consume much during that because it just make you feel sick, right? So I might do basically that whole, 5 3-minute efforts and really only have like 4 or 5 sips of my drink during it. Is that potentially a window I could try and get more in, or is that just, again, suck it up?
You're doing better than most. Anything you're taking in, you're not going to really absorb. When you're doing that level of intensity of exercise, it pulls blood away from your gut. So even if you're during that 30-minute window with your efforts, if you're just smashing carbs in, your body's not really going to uptake it that well anyway. So you're not missing out on anything. The only thing fueling-wise is you just be considerate of what you're doing in the days after. The next day and even 2 days on. If you're doing scheduling wise, what usually happens is you'll have like that hour and a half day, and then you'll have a longer ride the next day generally. So yeah, if you are going out the next day doing, so let's say 4 hours with some efforts, then you would adjust your fueling on the higher on the day and around the training to account for that session the next day. But really, you're gonna be sore the next day. I wouldn't be trying to make up for that, and that's something I sort of have come to terms with too. You're like, how can I get better recovery from the next day? And yeah, unfortunately, over fueling is not really going to help it. Yeah.
4 hours with efforts.
Who does that?
Who does that?
We used to.
We used to back in the day. Yeah, actually, that. Oh no, let's. Can we quickly squeeze this in at the end? I'm running out of cameras here. I've ranted about this in the past, but why are heart rate monitors so shit? Because I've actually started relying on my heart rate monitor again, okay? I'd gone off it for a while with the whole drift stuff and everything, but I'm back using my heart rate monitor, and I like the way it correlates to my power data. Again, I thought I'd solved it with the Polar one. It's gone again. The Apple Watch was good, but then you can't broadcast from the Apple Watch to thing, and
I have found the same thing. I bought the Polar H10 because it's the most accurate heart rate monitor. It's not. I mean, it is when it's working, but I find especially as it gets colder and maybe the strap, I think the straps tend, if you're not sweating, the straps tend to dry out. And then I'll be like halfway through a sweet spot effort and it halves my heart rate. I don't know. I think some people, Wahoo do the armband ones, which I haven't tried. It's potentially more accurate, but there's no way I'd ride around with that black armband on. I feel like.
See, I don't think it's accuracy. I think it's just purely the durability of them. I just genuinely
more
think...
consistent, because that's an optical.
Oh, okay.
It's not using the electro signals. It's through the skin. So that's probably similar to the Apple Watch. I think it's not going to have those huge dropouts you get with the chest straps.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wouldn't want to wear one. It's so frustrating.
Like, it's super frustrating. It's like, this is probably a good way to end, because it's like everyone, we're how many years into heart rate usage are we? 40, 30? It started in like the 90s, right? And basically everyone has accepted the fact that heart rate monitors are shit, right? We've all accepted it. Okay, we're going to buy a new one every 6 months. That's seemingly the case. This better not be the case with power meters, all right? Because if we're all just accepting the fact that the Shimano power meter doesn't work and that most quarks overread, ooh.
Well, actually, it's kind of funny. Power meters, which is so difficult to measure accurate, in my experience, my power meter is more accurate than my heart rate monitor. Yeah. Because my heart rate monitor drops out half the sessions. Yeah. It's really bizarro.
I don't know why I'm bringing this up, but like, I don't know if you've noticed, but basically no pro teams use aciomas, which are basically the gold standard, right? No one uses an acioma power meter except everyone uses the Shimano ones. I'm just like, well, why are you... In every other element of pro sports, it's like, you've got to have that data being absolutely perfect.
Very, interesting. Like all the Shimano sponsored teams, like DSM and stuff, all run it. I mean, it must be frustrating to be a rider on, and you just know, I don't really trust it.
It's a worry, Jay. It's a worry that Jay's data is about 2% low.
Yeah, he's actually doing 500 watts for whatever.
Alrighty, mate. Thank you very much for that. We will keep writing things down that crop into our head, and we'll go from there. If you guys have any subjects you would like us to cover, make sure you do. Let us know down below if you enjoyed this format, if you've got any other ideas for the format, and if there's any guests you think would be willing to make their way onto this. I think people are putting all these names of like pros and...
No, get Tade in. Let's go. He'll be down for Worlds. Let's get him up.
Really
he'll come on
this
show that's had 2 episodes.
Just reach out. There's this whole, community that we're in. All right. Peace. See you soon. 3, 2, 1.